everything that I say, everything that anybody that teaches these things says is a concept. If you listen to Ramesh Balsekar, and I suggest that you do listen to Ramesh Balsekar because his teaching is very clear, very complete, and very effective. And when he teaches, he keeps repeating, these are my concepts. You may or not agree with my concepts, but these are my concepts. Another teacher, his guru, had his concepts. Ramana Maharshi had his concepts. So these are all conceptual. But when you turn your attention to the mental activity and you recognize that the activity there is not truthful, that these thoughts are just thoughts, they are not the truth, and what you are, according to this thought process, is not what you are. When you're seeing that, you're seeing it from what you are. And when you're seeing that from what you are, you're experiencing something that is non-conceptual. When you're seeing that from what you are, you're experiencing something that is beyond concepts, beyond words. You can't speak about that. But you're experiencing it, and you're experiencing it all the time. So one of the ways that we could talk about this is to say, you're experiencing the truth all the time, or you are the experience of the truth all the time. Better yet, you're not experiencing, you are the experience of the truth all the time. But the thought process provides thinking about the experience. The thought process is a conceptual process. It's thinking about the experience that is happening all the time. It's not the experience. It can't be the experience. So we're weaning ourselves off the identification that we have taken on through the thought process. We're gradually weaning ourselves off that. And you may say that coming to this class on a regular basis isn't necessary because, and I'll bet some of you have already had this thought, you may say that coming to this class isn't necessary on a regular basis because you've already heard all this. You know what I'm going to say. There's only so much to talk about when it comes to the truth. It's not that deep. There's only a handful of statements that are spoken by these teachings, so it's not that deep. So then what's the reason that it's important to keep coming to the class? What's the reason that it's important to keep practicing meditation, formal and informal? What's the reason that it's important every day to expose yourself to some form of the teaching? Read something in a book by a teacher. Listen to something on YouTube by a teacher. We have the benefit of having more teaching available to us now than any other human beings have ever had. There is no question that you cannot get answered. All you have to do is ask Siri. There's no question that you can't get answered. All you have to do is type it into the chat, you know, the artificial, the AI will answer anything because the AI has exposure to all the information on the internet, right? All the information on the internet. So any question you ask it, it will, in a matter of seconds, look into the internet and come back and give you an answer. So we've never had this kind of benefit before. And one of the things that Harari, what's his full name? Do you think?
I forget his first name.
I can never remember names. I can remember his because I've been reading his book Nexus, which is an excellent book about information. And one of the things that he says in the book is we are over-informed. We have so much information now we can't process it. And it's going faster and faster all the time. Right?
Is it Yamish or something?
I don't know. Harari, the author that wrote the book Nexus. So one of the things that he recommends is put yourself on an information diet. You know, allow yourself to limit the amount of information you're taking into your mind so you don't flood the zone, right? Flooding the zone is a popular concept that's being talked about now. It's a way of keeping people so confused they don't know what's really going on, right? So while they're busy trying to figure out what the hell's going on, you can make your moves, right? So don't flood your zone, you know. Diet, go on an information diet. And when you're on an information diet, focus your attention on the most important information. You know, don't just let your head get filled up with Facebook junk or Instagram junk, you know, or what's the other famous one?
TikTok.
TikTok junk.
Yeah.
Because most of the ideas that are floating around in human beings' minds these days are junk. It's junk information. It's not relevant and it's not that important. That's why I say it's important to come to class, and that's why I say it's important to feed your mind the most important and relevant information you can feed it. And that information is information about your true nature. And that information is information about reality, about what's actually real. Keep feeding it that. And keep feeding it that with repetition, the way you got fed that when you were a child. Yeah? When you went to elementary school, they repeated the same stuff every single day. A, B, C, D, E, F, G. And the times tables over and over and over again, along with training you to obey authority. Right? That's how you got where you are. So to get away from that, to get to a place of freedom, you use the same technique, repetition. So you're not coming to the class because I'm going to say anything new. You're coming to the class to keep reminding yourself of reality. And there isn't enough times in the day that you can remind yourself what's real. There isn't enough time in the day to remind yourself what's real often enough. The ultimate repetition is moment to moment. If you can train yourself sufficiently to pay attention to the mental activity every single moment so that you can notice when that mental activity, right, has you consider yourself to be the ghost, has you consider yourself to be the body, has you consider yourself to be the one that had the childhood that you had. So you have to understand something, that the awareness that you are did not have your childhood. Your childhood is a story you told yourself about what was happening at the time. That's what your childhood was, a story that you told yourself about what was happening at the time. And you could talk to somebody else that was there, and they'll say that that wasn't the story. That's not the correct story. Right? So that's evidence that your story is unique to you. You're telling the story based on your point of view about what's happening. And so is everybody else. Yeah, so you see, if you understand what we're talking about here when I say this teaching and these practices are freedom from you, not for you, that you that it's freedom from is the one that had those stories. That you that the freedom from is the one that if we were doing conventional psychotherapy, we'd be spending a lot of time asking you to talk about your personal history. What happened to you when you were a kid? That's what caused you to be that's what caused you to be crazy now. So we have to go back and take a look at it and see if we can get you to re-experience those traumas, to get them out of your system so you can stop being neurotic and crazy. But in this practice, in these teachings, if you're doing it consistently and if you understand what you're doing, right, all of that will fade away and disappear. This is very important. All of your personal history, if you continue to teach, to listen to the teachings and do these practices, all your personal history will start to be less and less relevant. It will start to fade away, and eventually it won't be real anymore. It won't exist. Not necessarily. When I look back now at my childhood, it's very difficult for me to remember a lot of the details.
That would make me sad because I want to remember.
Well, that's because you're attached to it, because you still identify yourself to be the one that had the memories. The freedom from all that is much more fulfilling, much more peaceful, much more satisfying than any experiences you could have had as a child. Yeah? It's a whole different kind of freedom. It's freedom from anything that ever happened to you that threatened you, anything that ever happened to you that was a painful emotional experience. And all of that gets seen for what it really is. And all of that gets seen not to be real anymore, right? Because it happened to it happened to you when you thought you were something that you were not. And so because you thought you were something that you were not, you were telling stories about what was happening from that point of view that was a mistaken point of view.
Right.
So it's a good thing to let all that go and allow yourself to be aware of what's happening right now, moment to moment, in the reality that is the reality. And in that reality, there's a natural experience of well-being. When you're experiencing your true nature, when you're experiencing being present to what's happening in the immediate reality right now, right? Not a memory, not a wish, not a belief, not something that's going to happen in the future, but when you're experiencing what's happening right now, it could be very ordinary and very simple. Very ordinary and very simple. You don't have to travel across the world and take a vacation. You could be sitting on the toilet in your bathroom and experience being as happy and joyful and free and peaceful as it's possible to be without doing anything, right? Without going
Did you
anywhere.
read the book Flow? Would it be like that?
Yes.
Yeah.
All flow means is that you start living at the same speed that life is happening.
Yeah.
That's what flow is. It's that you let go and allow yourself to happen with life. Allow yourself to be present to life so that you're aware of what's happening moment to moment. And the thing that allows it to be something that is so satisfying and fulfilling is that it's not happening to you. A runner, a long distance runner, when they experience being in the zone,
Yeah.
right? When they're experiencing being in the zone, they're experiencing running. There's no runner running. They're just experiencing the body running,
Running. Yeah.
right? And that's in the zone. And it's a high. They experience being high. They love it. They want to run more in order to have that experience, right?
Yeah.
But you don't have to be a long distance runner to have that experience. You can be having your ordinary everyday experience and be in the zone. Because all the zone is your absence. And I remember saying here, one of the statements of one of the greatest teachers is, the most glorious experience you will ever have in your life is your own absence. That's what a long distance runner experiences when they're in the zone, their own absence. That's what you experience when you're involved with something, when your attention is so fully taken by something that you're doing, that you have no awareness of yourself, right? This happens to all of us, right? When you have all your attention taken by what you're doing, whatever it might be, this happens for musicians when they are playing music, right? It happens for writers when they're lost in the process of writing. Happens with visual artists when they're doing their paintings, right? And they love doing that because they have this elated experience, and the elated experience they're having is the experience of their own absence.
But then you can be in the zone but still have memories of that.
Yeah.
So it's not, if you have memories of it, there's thinking going on, right?
There's thinking going on, but there's nobody thinking. The key, like it says in the Heart Sutra, in the very beginning of the Heart Sutra, which I highly recommend that everybody read, if you haven't read it, in the very beginning of the Heart Sutra, right, it says, upon the realization of no self. That's the beginning. Upon the realization of no self. Then it goes on to say, emptiness is form and form is emptiness. When you realize there is no self there, right, then you realize that what you're looking at all day long is consciousness itself. The consciousness is the emptiness. What you think you're seeing is the form. And the form is the emptiness, and the emptiness is the form. Okay? So it's a balanced reality that you're experiencing when you are in an awake state, right? You're seeing things that appear as form, but you know that it's awareness or consciousness appearing as form.
Why the I love you part? Is that saying I love you to the personality?
Yeah. Yeah, it's saying I love you to the personality instead of taking the personality to be something that's alien, taking the personality to be something that's a mistake, taking the personality to be something that's wrong. And most people have a lot, well, I don't know whether you've tried it or not, but try it. Stand in front of the mirror and look at that body in the mirror and tell it you love it. Look at that person in the mirror and tell them that you love them. Do you remember that he said this is the hardest practice you could possibly do?
I don't know.
He did say that. If you try it, you'll find out why, right? Because you have a lot of concerns and considerations about what's in that mirror, right? You don't just readily love what's in that mirror. That what you're looking at got you into a lot of trouble. Right? So in order to love it, you have to forgive it. Right? In order to love it, you have to forgive it. And you can forgive it if you remember what it says in the beginning of the Course of Miracles. What is real cannot be threatened, and what is unreal doesn't exist. And what you're looking at in the mirror doesn't exist. It's an appearance. That's all it is. It's an appearance. Right? So loving it is loving yourself, because the awareness is what that appearance is. Emptiness is form, form is emptiness, right? So that appearance is what emptiness is. That appearance is consciousness manifesting as a body. That appearance is consciousness manifesting as a personality. So it's all you. All there is you. Right? So if you love it, you're just loving yourself. It's all you. It's just an acknowledgement of your true nature. That's all. Loving yourself is just an acknowledgement of your true nature. That's all it is.
So can you say, I love you except for this and that?
No. That's what you would like to say. And that's what other people would say about you.
Yeah.
No, this is unconditional. Unconditional. Your true nature loves unconditionally. You know why?
Nothing's ever wrong, everything's perfect.
Because you don't exist.
It loves unconditionally because the only object of its love is itself. Everything that you love is you. That's what unconditional love means. How can I not love you when you are me? How can I not love my neighbor as myself when my neighbor is myself? It's easy when you're seeing that clearly, that your neighbor is yourself. It's when you think your neighbor isn't yourself that it's hard. It's very simple when you see it clearly. It's very simple. And it's a relief that it's so simple. You don't have to trouble yourself trying to figure out this complicated reality. That's the mess of the mind. When you see things as they are, it's very simple, very direct, not a problem, doesn't require any doing, doesn't require changing anything, doesn't require fixing anything. Everything is already perfect as it is.